Hello, and welcome to the Astrology Show podcast with Astrologer Shelley Overton. Hi, and welcome to the April 8th, 2022 edition of the Astrology podcast. My name is Shelley Overton. I'm an astrologer and an artist in Orlando, Florida. So I want to welcome you here today. We're going to be going over a couple different charts. One is what's coming up for the week, and the other is of Ketanji Brown Jackson. If you are unaware of who that is actually the nominee for Supreme Court Justice, and she just got approved yesterday. Quite honestly, brought me to tears. It was quite amazing that happened, and I'm very happy that we are finally expanding our scope of government and justice to include more people of color and more people in this country, and not just the typical white agenda. So yay for her. Okay, and then what's going on today. So let's first go over the astrology for the week, and we'll see what's going on there. Coming up this week, we've got at least one or two aspects that are coming in that are fairly significant. We have a Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. We have the moon entering Pisces, and we have Mercury in Taurus on Sunday. So a lot of things to talk about and go over. If you see the chart right here, currently we have a moon at 12 degrees of Cancer, and Cancer is home and family. It is moms. It is the subconscious here in Orlando. It's in the 12th house. And so there is definitely a deep sentimental energy going around. Definitely a sentimental day for me. My son is going with his father up to Minnesota today. He left and was picked up by his dad, and my daughter is possibly going to be gone tomorrow. So both my kids will be gone. My parents are visiting my sister, and so my whole family is pretty much gone away for the weekend. So a little bit being self-pitying, a little self-pity. Anyway, I've got cats. So anyway, getting back to the moon in Cancer, that is contributing to the energy that we have today. And of course, the moon is midway through the sign of Cancer, which means in a couple days, or let me just double check, soon, it will go into Leo and enters Leo at midnight exactly Eastern, which means 9 p.m. Pacific. And so it's going to be Sunday all day where we have a moon in Leo, which is actually a good sign for me. You've got all this water energy coming in, and then we have a little bit of fire. So today in Orlando, it's fairly gorgeous, high of 73, low humidity, and really wonderful weather. But the moon moves into a fire sign. We have the sun in a fire sign right now, Chiron in fire, and Mercury is in Aries for the time being. Of course, Mercury is moving into Taurus this week, but we've had severe storms go through yesterday. So a lot of this Mars moving forward past Saturn, it affects weather. And there was an extreme weather going across the southeast yesterday, but also within the last week, there was a Venus, Mars, Saturn stellium conjunction in the sky, and that created in Florida another weather event last weekend, and they canceled. I could be wrong, I could be way off, but I thought it was 10,000 flights, which seemed like an extreme amount, but I know it was inbound and outgoing, so there were quite a few cancellations. I checked, and it was 10,000 flights in and out of Florida Saturday and Sunday, about 5,000 a day, roughly. So yeah, we had a pretty strong, windy, wet weekend. And then yesterday on Thursday, we also had another system go through, which was difficult. My parents left yesterday in the morning before the weather got here, which was about 1 p.m. All those flights had to deal with getting out, and they had an hour delay. So fortunately, they got out. And Jupiter is at the exact same degree as Neptune. Jupiter rules air transportation, flights, and it was right on Neptune. Neptune is watery weather, and Jupiter being an expander, a transformative expander of the zodiac, can definitely affect weather. Venus and Mars in late degrees of Aquarius, also Saturn at 22 in conjunct to Jupiter, affecting weather. We have Uranus today is in sextile to the moon, which is always a good energy, but there will be a square come late Sunday into Monday between the moon and Uranus, and that will bring in probably more of an opportunity for fires. Earth sign Uranus is going to square a fire moon, and the fire moon brings the weather more likely associated with the moon than Uranus. Uranus can be inclement weather, and a moon squaring Uranus can mean wind. So with the earth energy and the fire energy, you're looking at windy, fiery, hot weather. It could also be actual fires. Then we have Venus at 3 degrees of Pisces today. So she is early degrees of Pisces, out of the Aquarian energy where she doesn't want to hear your opinion. She has her own opinion. And now she's in Pisces where everyone else's becomes her opinion. And she loses her boundaries. She is much more empathic. So whoever we hang out with during this time becomes the people that we mirror and imitate. She is the chameleon of the zodiac in the sign of Pisces. Really what I want to give you an overview of in this chart is that the moon, of course, just came out of interaction with all of the planets from Pluto to Uranus. The North Node in Taurus means that we are having value system changes in our lives. Of course, we are seeing inflation come in with this energy. We are feeling, cars are getting more expensive. Everyday food is getting more expensive. So transportation, goods, oil, we've got that Jupiter expanding Neptune, which is going to be oil and floods. It's going to be liquids and anything that would take that form. Mars right now is in last degrees of Aquarius. So not only is he not answering any longer to Saturn, he's really not answering to anyone. He is very much in the energy of concentrated humanitarianism. Remember, N degrees really concentrate the energy of the sign that they're in. And it's almost as if there's a very strong push to understand what the energy or issues are from the sign they're in before they move on to the next sign. So Mars in degrees Aquarius is going to be about detachment. It's going to be about losing the sentimentality and emotionalism associated with people that we've worked with or friendships. It can be regular friendships, although I do assign that to the 5th house and the sign of Leo in energy. And yet the opposite, Aquarius, is really usually associated with career. And so it is the result of your career. So Aquarius being more integrative of community, but detached from one-on-one relationships, which can be kind of the opposite of Leo, which wants to connect one-on-one and doesn't necessarily understand the bigger picture. In the bigger picture, they tend to gravitate towards the center of attention and not as much about embracing community as a whole. It's more about the one-on-one or setting oneself apart from community. Aquarius is about being the individual within the community. So they are quite opposite energies. The sun in Aries at 18 degrees right now, it is a strong energy around sales, around self-promotion and emergencies. Unfortunately, a few days ago, we had a lady on the major road that our subdivision is off of. She got hit by a vehicle. It was a hit and run, and she did not survive. She is like the 3rd person to lose their lives out there in the last 2 years. Yet still, it's a long straightaway with a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. Always people can go up to 65 miles an hour along that stretch. Is about 2 miles of road. And so when we have energies in Aries, it's about taking action and being assertive and being aggressive, road rage, getting from A to B quickly. We don't want to wait. We want to just get it done. And so that energy, especially with Mercury at 25 Aries, is very energized. And we see it's supremely contributive of accidents. And I think I'm making up words, but Mercury does that. So anyway, Mercury in last degrees of Aries are bringing out the energy of assertion and drive. It is the drive within our charts. So we see that. And then Chiron at 12 Aries is going to bring about where we're more sensitive to being wounded and to other people's opinions of us, especially in Aries, which can represent self and ego. Also, remember last week when I mentioned, maybe within the last 2 weeks, I know I brought it up a couple times, how Aries triggered the Black Lives Matter movement. And last week we had Will Smith and Chris Rock in a tete-a-tete on stage at the Oscars. This week we have Ketanji Brown Jackson get the nomination for Supreme Court Justice. So it is a heightened awareness of race. We see more race issues coming out under Aries. And so that is showing us where we are with it. And definitely when Jupiter gets to Aries, that's going to be very, very transformative. So I see that as a really strong positive for race relations, as far as minorities saying, no, you're not going to treat me this way, because it is a sense of freedom and not wanting restriction. So when Jupiter gets into Aries, it's like, I'm willing to put myself in jeopardy for the greater good. And that's what Jupiter's banner usually is about, the cooperation of the greater good. Remember, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, which falls right after Scorpio. So the energy of Scorpio is bringing justice to our mindset, to our emotions, and it's expressed in a physical way. It is birthed, so to speak, when Jupiter hits Aries. And that's when the energy of freedom loving Jupiter really expresses out as if it's born into a new reality, because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. When Jupiter hits Aries, it will express a new way of thinking, a new spiritual growth that comes into being. And so not only that, things that have been happening behind the scenes, remember, again, Scorpio is behind the scenes going into Sagittarius, which is representative of Jupiter also. It brings out things that have been hidden, and it is around higher education, spirituality, growth, justice, anything that was hidden, but also anything that helps us grow, we're going to hear about. It could be slavery, it could be the sex trade, it could be things in education. Children will be part of this, but this happens in May. I'm going to tell you when. I don't know that I've actually told anybody an exact date. Okay, so Jupiter goes into Aries on the 10th, and Mercury retrogrades earlier in that same day at 4 degrees of Gemini. So it's going to be Aries Gemini energy. And yeah, so they're going to be sextile to each other, going to be a really strong time of going back over things that have been said. So I think that this is really going to be a strong energy of journalism and self-awareness and growth, definitely with minorities, probably more specifically the Black agenda. So it's going to be the beginning of a major, major shift. Remember, Saturn is only a few years away from going into Aries, and Jupiter will spend a good portion of this year and next year in Aries. So it's going to be a real strong push towards a new way of thinking of race relations. I'm actually looking forward to that, but it also rules police. So look for more scuffles, more conflict around the police and the racist viewpoint. So yeah. Anyway, Jupiter on Neptune is right now highly focused on Piscean energy. So again, photography, film, entertainment, poetry, arts, humanities, spirituality, death, the other side, psychic awareness, esoteric life, many things along that nature. Okay, let's just talk about the highlights of this week and move on to other things. Palm Sunday on Sunday, if you're Catholic, also I guess Christian. Mercury enters Taurus at 10:09 p.m. Eastern, 7:09 p.m. Pacific. So Mercury into Taurus, we're going to highly think of what's going on in the markets. Of course, keep in mind Mercury can be volatile. Usually in Taurus, it is focused highly on money, wanting the money, want to make sure that it's stable. Earth signs look for stability, look for groundedness because they are earth signs. It's looking to grow our investments. So as long as Mercury is in Taurus, we're looking to grow investments. Of course, it's only just over 2 weeks in the sign of Taurus before it gets to Gemini. And that means that we are going to probably be more conservative for this next 2 weeks. And then when Mercury gets to Gemini, there will be a very strong volatility of the markets, but also it can go up, it can go down. People will be seeing it completely different. Gemini is duality, so it can be polarized. It can also be two sides of the coin. And interestingly enough, the market is about coins because money and currency, fiat currency. So it will definitely be a time, and because Mercury also rules technology, it will be cryptocurrency and online currency. It rules communication, small animals, messages, messengers. So communication will be told to us then, again, because it's entering air. Mercury in an air sign in 2 weeks is going to be more volatility, but also thoughts and ideas. It can be communication and also lying. Keep in mind, because of the duality of Gemini, makes it susceptible to untruths or the truth and the opposite. So it is how we communicate, how we put forth our thoughts, thinking, ideas, education, teachers, all of that. So when Mercury's in Taurus, we get more grounded with all of those themes. And Mercury going into Gemini will create that instability. Also, this week coming up, Tuesday, Jupiter joins up with Neptune exact to the minute. And that happens at 10:42 a.m. Eastern, 7:42 a.m. Pacific. And that can also mean heightened COVID event. So right now, since a lot of countries are giving up masks and restrictions, that's going to increase COVID. I know there's a new strain, and honestly, I don't remember the exact name. I think it's BA6, possibly. It's a combination of BA2 and Omicron. So they say that's even more highly contagious and by 25 to 50%. So don't quote me on that. Go do your research. Anyway, it's going to peak again, as it will throughout the course of this year when there are events astrologically that bring that about. We're going to see peaks and valleys on COVID. We've got a full moon on Saturday, the 16th. Let me see if there was another event. Oh yeah, Mars goes into Pisces 11:06 p.m. on Thursday, the 14th at 8:06 p.m. Pacific. And then Saturday of next week, not this Saturday, but the next week is the full moon in Libra. We will talk more about that next week. This week we have Mars in Pisces. So of course, Mars is men, drive, ego. Into Pisces is bringing it down into the visceral, bringing it into the emotions, bringing it into the ethers. So we're going to have more activity around unexplained phenomena. Could increase UFOs. It could increase psychic awareness and connectedness to other people, where we think about them and then we hear from them. Especially when Mercury gets to Gemini, there will be more of a telepathic connection. Okay, so that's on Thursday. I'm just going to read you some of the notes I've had for this time of year. Jupiter conjunct Neptune gives it more meaning. To sentimentality and an expansion of our awareness on a visceral level. We are much more aware of when people are not being truthful to us, and we're more connected to our own intuition. So it means that if you get a hit not to go somewhere, follow it. Sun in Aries is sextile to Saturn. So again, really good for self-promotion, really good for career and a new path on career. With any planets in Aries are going to bring in new, young, new. Also, Aquarius tends to be a more youthful thinking, vibrant, active mentality, getting just past Capricorn, which is much more rooted in tradition. We move to the new when we get into Aquarius. So having Mars at the last degrees of Aquarius will also be finishing up a story around a new path, a new endeavor. And then as we go into Pisces, we get our true emotional feeling about whatever it is we've been thinking about doing, and that path moving into the collective. So the last three signs of Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces are all about community and how we're interacting with community. It is responsibility for community. I just got chills with that one. So Capricorn, responsibility. Aquarius, having the awareness on an intellectual standpoint, on an overarching collective mindset. And then Pisces, we still have the collective, but we bring it into the emotional life, and we can't separate it. In other words, we bring it into our emotional bodies, and it's as if we're living what that agenda is. So in Aquarius, we can detach from the emotion of it. We intellectualize it and understand it through the mind and through our neurons. And it can be a nervous system, which is where the anxiety comes from. When we feel anxiety, we're feeling our nervous system. And so we've been feeling a lot of that anxiety coming up on this Aquarian energy that we have, and what we will be feeling with Pluto in Aquarius. But as we get used to the energy of Aquarius, we will settle into the neurological stimulation that we're getting. We'll settle more into that unexpected quality that Aquarius brings. And Mercury will ground us coming after Mercury moves into Taurus. And again, that happens Sunday the 10th. Yeah, in the evening on Sunday. Okay, let's let that go. And we're going to go over Ketanji Brown Jackson's chart. I've got her chart up here. She's got a Scorpio rising, so I feel qualified to speak to that since I also have one. Her rising is 15 or 16 degrees. I've got 16 degrees Scorpio. I did her chart I did a search for her chart online, and I didn't get an actual time of birth, but they did say she was born in Washington, D.C. on September 14th, 1970. And the chart that they showed, which was not a solar chart, a sunrise chart, which is a chart you can do if you don't know the rising sign or don't know the time of birth. You can always do a sunrise chart, which is also very indicative of what can go on in a person's life. It's a good alternate chart to do, but they said she had a mid-range Scorpio rising. I could not read the degree, so I did it for 11:30 a.m. and she ended up with a 16-degree Scorpio rising, which is very close to what they had online. That gives her a Neptune at 28 degrees Scorpio in the first house. Again, Scorpio rules law, justice, legalities, and the government. So it really is not surprising, given she also has a Jupiter at 4 degrees of Scorpio and Venus at 6 degrees of Scorpio in the 12th house, very subliminally connected to justice in society. Venus is her feminine nature. She very much understands balance and the sense of justice and righteousness and integrity. When it comes to dealing with other people, she has an overarching sense of justice that's necessary. Her generation is Neptune in Scorpio and Uranus in Libra. Libra is the scales, balance, and of course, justice, blind justice. So very, very good at what she does, because all that energy falls into community and the subconscious and the identity. So she very much is living out her path given the time she was born with this chart. She has Pluto at 27 Virgo, Sun at 21 Virgo, Mercury at 17 Virgo, and Mars at 7 Virgo. So quite honestly, I'd probably really get along with this woman. She also has North Node at 2 degrees and Moon at 9 degrees of Pisces. Having that deep Piscean energy within her life And then because Neptune's in the first house, she cannot separate herself from the energy of justice and integrity. And then her moon in Pisces makes her extremely sympathetic, like a mother would, towards people and their situations. And her final planet of Saturn at 22 Taurus makes her very grounded in her decisions. She weighs and balances them quite seriously, because it also falls in her Libra house, the 7th house. Saturn in Libra is ruled by Venus. In the sign of Taurus, also Venus. So they answer to her Venus, which is 2 degrees off Jupiter. It expands the energy of her Venus. So she brings a really strong feminine voice to whatever she does. In the 12th house, she may have a very large blind spot when it comes to her single-minded desire for justice for women. And so that's part of her nature. Also, her stellium in Virgo, we've talked about this, having stelliums kick to the other side. She has a stellium in Virgo, which kicks to the Pisces energy. She also has moon in Pisces and north node in Pisces. So she has a very strong energy around intuition. She is highly psychic, but also very practical, because the Virgo energy, the Virgo sun, gives her a really strong sense of service and desire to be of service, but also seeing things from other people's point of view from an analytical standpoint. Pluto also can be a great researcher. In the sign of Virgo, she's very, very thorough with her research and what she understands about practical situations. Because her Saturn is in an earth sign and her 4 planets of Virgo are also in an earth house and an earth sign, very, very grounded. Her chart, and I know a lot about this energy, even though she was born in 1970. I have 4 planets also in Virgo. I have a Scorpio rising. I have Neptune in my first house, and I have Pisces in the 4th house like she does, because my chart is roughly set up similar to hers in the energy. It is a very grounded chart. It is an emotional, intense chart. The beauty of this chart is she's able to channel emotion and sentiment, but also sensitivity to circumstances of situations in people's lives, and yet also have a grounded ability to integrate that into her decisions. She has a wonderful ability. I got chills instantly with that, a wonderful decision-making ability, because her Neptune in Scorpio, her Jupiter and Venus in Scorpio allow her that discernment, that black and white quality of, is this valuable? Is this not valuable? So she's able to really balance which one is valuable and still have that ability to choose between the two. Saturn in her Libra house, and let's see, what's her Libra? Uranus in her Libra sign. And it's also, Uranus is in the Aquarian house. So there is a really great humanitarian quality to her. And then because Uranus is in an air sign and in the Aquarius house, that's the balancing out, the airing out, the drying out of a lot of the emotionalism that is felt by her intuitive side with the Neptune and the Scorpio, and her moon in Pisces. So she is an archetype of a judge, but she is also the archetype of a deep feeling mother. And I want to even say, and I get chills with that too, like a mother of humanity. She will take on a role of the wise mother within her realm, within her judicial course and the judicial services that she will be dealing with. Her chart shows Chiron in Aries in the house of friendship. So my guess is she may make friends with other judges. And because it's Aries, the male judges who she may try to befriend or maybe see in a friendly manner, that can come to hurt her and wound her, especially because right now she's in a Chiron return. So that wounding is going to be evident within her friendships. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if she finds she moves forward in an authoritative manner, because right now when she's getting this particular appointment, Sun is in Aries and Mercury just is going into Taurus. It is in the last degrees of Aries. So communication, ego, she's going to run into, what I got was slap in the face. Smack in the face was exactly the vernacular I got. She will get a smack in the face from the men in her friendship community and in a sense of the leadership role, because remember, the Leo house is leadership. So she's going to get some pushback from the men on the Supreme Court very clearly in here. The other thing is very interesting. She gets sworn in, I believe I read October 3rd. And so that will be Libra timeline. And Libra falls in her house of people and community from career. And that's really good because Sun will be in Libra and her Uranus is in Libra, which will give her the strength to be a counterbalance to more of an authoritative pushback that she will be getting. Remember, Aries is opposite to Libra. So when she gets sworn in, she will be in that cooperative energy of Libra and the diplomatic energy, but she will also have the strength of identity and self through that Uranus and Libra to really push back and stand her ground. So wow, what a wonderful choice. And as an astrologer, I'm just, and also a Scorpio rising, I'm very, very thrilled to see she got this position. And I hope it is a wonderful long career because I know she is perfect for the job. So congratulations. Excellent for her. With that, I'm going to wrap up for the week. We're going to talk about the full moon next week. And I want to say, take care, have a good week. Don't be so bothered by this Aries energy. It's going to be there. We're going to be impatient. Be very careful on the road over the weekend as Mercury does get closer to Taurus. When Mercury goes into Taurus, that's probably a peak time of actual manifestation of accidents. So I'm just giving you a quick heads up for the next week. Watch out when you're in a vehicle because it is a little bit heightened for being in a position where you may be more hot-tempered. You may not see everything going on around you, and we want you to be safe. So take care, have a good week, and we'll see you next week. Bye. Currently, I have a cat sitting in my window. I'll try and get a picture of her. I don't know if she'll show up. There she is. Ginger, that's my psycho killer. She killed a mourning dove this morning, and I'm very sad about that because I'm an animal lover and I don't quite know what to do to keep her from doing that. But I know she brings it to me as it's kind of like a gift. And she doesn't understand that that's not cool. And I scold her, but probably doesn't make a big difference anyway. She is a good kitty cat anyway, and really loves the attention. If you hear her, she can't turn around in the window without climbing the screen and rotating her body. So she just did that. Anyway, enough about cats.
Hey, this is Shelley. I wanted to give you a heads up that there are a lot of new art prints at shelleyoverton.com. So go over there and check them out. SHELLEYOVERTON.com. Thanks.
Hi, this is Shelley. Thank you for joining us this week. To contact me for a private reading, go to angeliczodiac.com under the Readings tab. Background music was provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. To purchase my ebook, Learn Astrology, you can find it at angeliczodiac.com, including discounts. Be sure to check back next week and subscribe through iTunes at Astro Energy Astrology Show.